Deep in the ocean, an orca pod is on the hunt. But these aren't your average orcas. These guys are organized.
Marketing team, did you get those social media posts scheduled for the SEAL migration?
Aye, Captain. We even have an automated notification for all pod managers when they go live.
They use Monday.com to keep their teamwork sharp, their communication clear, and their goals in sight. Monday.com. For whatever you run, even orcas. Go to Monday.com to dive deeper.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer, so let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
And also, it's not great for your hair to wash it every day. But
Right.
some days I feel like I
twice a
really
week.
should because I hate the smell
Do
of
you
scalp.
watch more than
Here,
twice
guys,
a
you
week?
want your headphones?
2-3 times a week.
Yeah, I do twice.
I'm going to pretend y'all wash your hair for me.
I did.
Oh, see?
Don't need to pretend
That's
it was
nice.
absolutely
That's
for
great,
you. That's
Laura.
why I even put bare
I'm
minerals
sorry.
on my face.
What's the name of the show?
Kill Me Now with Judy Gold.
Right.
This is still the best
Why
of
so
my
much
life.
violence?
Oh, please. It's bad. It's bad, Janine. It's just getting worse.
This is
the
love
anger.
fest.
Isn't it time to heal? Isn't now the time?
Oh,
to heal?
please.
We did heal.
Oh, please.
So we're
Love
back to
you.
the violence again. We healed. Now it's
Oh, please.
It's a love-hate relationship. I
Judith.
love Judy, and she hates me.
Judith. Whenever I think of Judy Gold, I go to Judy Benjamin, from
Right.
Private Benjamin, and then I think Judith.
That is how my mother.
When she talks about Albert
Right.
Brooks at Yale, when she's
Right.
sitting on the end, you got to get back out there. That
I
one.
love that movie.
It's so good. It's much better than you think it's going
right,
to
right.
be. even
I
at the
remember when I went to see it, thinking,
Yep.
"This is going to be," and it
And
was
it was great.
fucking great.
Wow.
It's just one of those gems that like soap dish. It just
Yes.
works. Everything works in it, and it's a
Exceeds your
joy to see it.
Right. Like waiting for Guffman is also
A joy. And you know,
I mean,
and best in show. Because,
best in show.
Oh, I need to turn my volume down if Judith is going to be.
Oh, that's nice. Blame me. Thanks so much.
Well, you do project. You have a voice for the theater.
Thank you, and I will be doing Shakespeare in the Park, so that'll be fantastic.
As you like it.
Yeah. No. Taming of the Shrew, and I'm not the Shrew. How fucking funny is that?
The profanity, the violence. It's
bad. It's bad. Now, for our listeners,
Typecast.
Yes.
for our listeners right now, if you don't recognize that,
Oh, we're
voice,
already- it already
we
started?
already we just
Oh my goodness! When did it start?
I don't know because
Oh,
they
when
lie.
didn't
They lie, and it's awful, and I don't know when.
So
it
when
started.
did it really start? Or is this? It's still not started.
It will start when it sounds the best to start.
Oh, it hasn't started yet. So,
No, we can start right now.
Oh, whatever. It's your show. It's your show. You
Let's
choose
just jump
the
right
time.
in.
Let's do it.
You know, this is my show. Kill Me Now
It
with
is.
Judy Gold. And
Judy Gold.
But without Hennessy, I wouldn't have gotten in.
Okay, if you don't recognize
do all that much.
voice, and also realize this is going to be a struggle for me now that
It's
this
James
person-
Mason. We
this
have fun,
person-
don't we, Lo?
This person has now sided with the enemy,
The Hennessy.
the Hennessy. But I'm going to change that. That's my goal for today. Ladies and gentlemen, the one. I have to say, you are a one and only. I mean,
Well,
there's some
isn't
people who are.
everybody?
No, there's hybrids.
Okay.
You know, there are hybrids. Don't you think? It's like, yes, you're this, but there was this before you.
Yes,
Yes,
I
but-
suppose so, but I feel like you could say that about everybody, but then at the same time, everybody is theoretically a one
and only. Yes.
Because they, in fact, broke the mold quite literally after I was born. I did come from a mold in. A lot of people don't know this about me. This is a first.
Yes.
Full disclosure, I came from a mold, and then the nurse accidentally elbowed it in 1964, and they did break the mold. So.
Because I used to have, when I was growing up, everyone kept saying, Judy Gold broke the mold.
Oh, because it rhymes.
Yeah,
too.
and I was like, what are they talking about? And then as I got older.
you were so tall.
and obnoxious. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the multi-talented, fucking one-of-a-kind, huge fan of, love, Janine Garofalo, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, but you've oversold it. Now I can only disappoint the
All right.
listening
Take care.
audience
Bye-bye.
because you were just far too kind in the
Well,
intro.
you
gave
know
me far
that
too much
you're
credit.
fucking great. Okay?
I don't
you're
know
fucking,
that.
and this is why.
But the profanity, Judith, you know how I feel about the profanity.
I'm really fucking sorry about that. Okay?
See, now all I've done is beg her to swear more. So that kind
Basically.
of
Right.
problem with authority.
It's
that
called
you have.
oppositional defiance disorder, ODD.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What is
Well, with that and the restless leg, you got it coming and
Hey,
going.
good night, folks. I think my brother has anhedonia. Do you know what anhedonia
No.
is? That is a disease where you get pleasure in nothing. Like you know, like because nothing makes him like excited. So I said, what if someone gave you, like, you can fly to France on a private jet, you can have the best meal with the best French chef, and stay in a palace and blah, blah, blah. Not interested. Not interested.
Well, there must be something that he can.
Is it?
He likes watching old basketball games,
Okay,
like
that's
classic.
something. That's something.
He runs like marathons.
All right.
He swims Alcatraz. I mean, but nothing.
Well, that's three things right there that he's passionate about, right? Because it's not easy to run.
yeah, but I
marathons or
don't
swim
know. But if
Alcatraz.
that makes him happy, I mean,
Do you think he's content or just has lack of happiness altogether?
I think that he doesn't allow himself to be happy. You
because
know,
he feels something bad will happen if he allows.
well, that was the message throughout my childhood. That was my mother, because her brother was killed when she was young. So that was the message. Anything good, something shitty's going to happen.
Right.
Which is why I've been in therapy for 34 years. Thank you very much. No, 35 years.
Well, it's also true on The Walking Dead. You've seen that documentary
Yes.
by Ken Burns, The Walking Dead, on
Yes.
MC. Ken Burns, the documentary, The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
What's
Ken
going
Burns,
on
I've
in
never
Atlanta?
heard
Ken
of
Burns,
him.
Jazz
Yeah.
Age Baseball.
No, I've never
Dust
heard of
Bowl,
him. No.
The Walking
Yeah,
Dead, Ken
yeah.
Burns. Once somebody experiences any joy whatsoever on The Walking Dead, even a hint of a smile, a moment of levity, here comes the herd or
Right.
an arrow through your neck.
Right.
It is a tell every single time on every episode. If there's one
Right.
microsecond of levity or ease,
That's funny. Yeah.
then comes
Right. I think my brother missed his calling.
or Matthew Crawley on Downton
Oh, yes,
Abbey. There
yes.
was no way that wasn't going to happen.
That was,
that was
and I
that
kept
was cheap.
looking at
Julian
him.
Fellows can be a hack writer.
I know, but all
as
I have
much
to
as
say,
I love Downton Abbey.
I didn't watch the last episode yet, so don't tell me. But all I have to say about Matthew Crawley, I was looking at him. I know this is so shallow, but I was looking at him and I was thinking, okay, he's really good looking, but his neck, like he had a droopy neck.
I didn't notice that, but he is so good looking
Right.
also in life, and he lives in Brooklyn, and friends of mine see
No
him
way.
sometimes with his kids, and
Oh,
they
God, I
have
gotta go
taken
see him.
photos, and he looks very different. You know, he looks
Modern.
modern, and he is among the handsomest, according to their phone photos of him.
I mean, his face is.
He's absolutely gorgeous, and but the thing is you can't have a hospital scene with your newborn, say I can never live without you, you're my life, then be whistling a happy tune in an old timey car.
right.
Here comes a truck head on. There's
Right.
no way that wasn't going to happen. And
Right.
as much as I love Downton Abbey, Julian Fellows can at many times do things that really stick in my craw when you watch television. See the
Right.
writing. You can see the writing. He
Right.
does a reset every 5 seconds.
Yes,
Each
yes,
character
yes.
has to mention the thing, like an essay. Tell him what you're going
Right.
to tell him. Tell him.
Right.
What you told
Repeat
him.
the last thing
Repeat
from
it.
the last thing you said in the previous paragraph.
Even though that character probably wouldn't be privy to this
Right,
information,
right.
and it's like it's lazy.
I gotta tell you, Mr. Bates has been annoying me.
Bates, he annoyed me from the start.
See, in the beginning, that's Elisa said that. But in the beginning, I
I
was
like
like,
him.
oh, he's so sweet and he so cares about. Now I'm just like, ugh.
Anytime he would come on, I'd Bates.
Bates.
But
It's
I've
become a
seen
tick
him
now.
in other British
Yeah.
dramas or detective series because I am an Acorn TV PBS
Right.
fanatic, and he has a great American accent.
Right.
They do accents better than we do.
Right.
But and he can be very interesting, and he played in Inspector George Gently, one of my favorite masterpiece BBC crime dramas,
Right.
with Martin Shaw, who used to be in a show called The Professionals, which makes TJ.
Oh, yes.
Hooker. That is the greatest.
Great. I know.
DVD fun watch.
I got to do a
The
binge.
Professionals.
I got to do a binge.
From British television with Bodie and Doyle.
Right.
And
Oh, God, I
from the
remember
80s.
that, yeah.
Fantastic. And Martin Shaw's quite a very good actor. He's an
Right.
older gentleman now.
Right.
And Inspector George Gently takes place in the late 60s, which is a really interesting thing. And his young partner is the racist behind the time guy. And Bates played a Hugh Hefner-like American who was trying to bring that kind of Playboy club.
Right.
And he was very, very good, and his American accent was good. That was a
I
long
bet
story
he was,
for no reason.
You know, all right,
Bates.
This is the other
Bates.
person. What's his name? Oh, Anna.
Who, Thomas? Were you about to bring up Thomas?
Oh, Thomas is... wait, no.
He was very good. I felt sorry.
He's really a good actor.
He's a great actor and really funny, too. He did a great parody thing on Colbert of Breaking Bad.
Oh, did you
with
see
Carson.
them all? Did you see Mary and what's his name? Who's in love with the one who had legal problems? The woman who's friends with. Oh God! Was it? Yeah, I think it was Colbert. He made them read a portion of the script in a New York accent, and it was hilarious.
Well, Lady Mary has a
Lady
more,
Mary.
Whatever her name is, she's a very good actor. She has a sort of working class British
Yeah.
accent, and
Yeah.
then she has that way of speaking.
Oh,
which
I
is
know.
So,
Edith.
I don't
what
know
about Edith?
Lady? But you know what? She had more freedom than all of them. She
I
didn't
know.
know about it. She had a tiger
That's
by
right.
the tail. I think she realized it.
Right.
Like Jane Eyre herself imposed
Right.
exile from Thornfield.
Right.
Yes.
I
She
feel
was
like
Put that in your pipe and smoke
you know,
it,
my grandmother was
Bates.
born in 1896, and
Oh, my grandma's 1898. And young
Yay.
people can't. They think you're joking. When
Oh,
you
I
say
say
that,
it
'cause-
on
'cause
stage.
My dad's 80, and
Right.
so it makes sense.
right. So all my other ones were born in the 1880s, and my grandfather's born in 1892. All right. So, but I knew my grandmother till I was 25, and the values, you know, the things that were important to her were incredible. I mean, as compared to what we see now, and I'm so glad I had that opportunity. But I think of her because she was a flapper. I mean, she was in the 20s. That was her. She was in her 20s.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she couldn't vote until she was 24 years old. What the fuck?
Well, that
I
was
mean-
the least a least of some
Right.
people's problems
Right,
back then
right.
too. But that's a biggie.
But
the,
I
the
think
British
of her.
were ahead of us. In that.
But I see some of the stuff, you know, on the set, and I remember my we would bake, and she had one of those sifters. It was green with
Yeah.
the handle, and you just turn it, and it was wooden, and all of those kinds of things. And she was always, Judith, please read Little Women, and
Where is she from?
she was from New York.
Oh, that sounded like
Yeah, Judith.
Well, yeah, but it
they were
probably-
very high end.
Oh, they were. I
Yeah.
see.
Also, that was when a lot of British imports were
Judith.
in New York.
Well,
Judith.
My
That's how she
grandmother
used
was
to-
the
yeah.
opposite of a young person when it was would have been great to be young.
Right.
1898, Northern Ireland, born.
Ah, she was always
came
grandma.
over here. They were very poor. Came over here, moved to the Lower East Side. She had 13 brothers and sisters, and this is how old timey they were. And I've talked about this on stage a lot. I don't do it now, but I had before, because I used to find it fascinating that one of her brothers was killed by getting hit on the head with a rock from a bridge. Her father was
What?
killed by getting hit by a team of horses. This is what can happen, which sounds odd, right? But it was very normal.
Oh,
if you
my
had 13
God.
kids and were poor,
And
you weren't going to
yeah,
make it all the way
right.
with all of them. And so she was the oldest girl. And her mom died of consumption or
Right.
something.
Right,
So
tuberculosis.
she had nothing but bitter regret and hard times, and she lived with us when we were growing up.
Yeah, my grandmother.
Oh, and her whole thing, be modest, be modest. And I can always remember her almost losing her mind once watching the Flip Wilson show, which was bad enough.
Right.
Flip Wilson. Tina Turner was on.
Right.
And I can remember her sitting there going, save us!
Oh,
Save us!
my God, that's so
From
amazing.
something about Flip Wilson.
right.
And-
Triggered her.
Right. But you add Tina Turner
Right,
dressed
and
that
that-
way, performing that way,
Yeah.
to her, the end is nigh. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yes, my grandmother. Now, so they grew up. They were in Manhattan, and my grandmother got a degree, and she was a teacher, and then I think they moved to Perth Amboy, but they had servants. They had the first car in New Jersey. I mean, they
Wow.
were very educated. My great uncle cured pellagra, and
What's pellagra? That sounds like a pharmaceutical drug you would see on a cable news channel.
pellagra is like malaria. He cured pellagra and
Oh,
malaria.
I never have heard of pellagra.
And so Dr. Joseph, he actually, my mother's like, he vaccinated me. Well, she doesn't say that anymore because she's dead, but he vaccinated me. So he and his wife, not Jewish, were the first. He was working for the government because he's so up your alley. There were all these people, poor people in the South, who were dying, and they didn't know why, and they thought it was some contagious disease. And he went down there, him and his wife, and they guinea pigged themselves and tried to figure out how if he wanted to prove it wasn't contagious. And what it was malnutrition. And he basically started this whole movement of what a human being needs, what vitamins they need. And his work also was sort of the rebar of measles.
Wow.
And so what happened was he ended up dying and left her, and she worked with him with these kids, 4 kids, and she had nothing left. The government, at that time, women could not get any kind of pension or anything, and she went before the United States. I don't know, the federal government. I don't know if it was the Supreme Court or whatever it was.
It was probably not that high,
Right.
but some court of appeals, or
and said, because they really dedicated their life to the health of these Americans, and she's the first person ever to get a pension, and that's why women.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't that unbelievable?
That's amazing. There is nothing of note I could tell you about.
Right, but that
about my,
of course. But you want to know what's sad?
Most
It's
families don't
like
talk.
they love him. Dr. Goldberg. I have a whole book, and it's always like, didn't marry a Jew. Okay, so that's how.
well,
what
it does
boils.
make a statement, doesn't
Right.
it? It's just like when or what? Actually, here's the goal, as I see it, for a lot of not all Jewish gentlemen who get successful in Hollywood. Let's say the goal is to marry a Jewish woman, but one that looks like Kate Hudson or
Right.
Alicia Silverstone.
Right.
That's the dream, is to
Right.
get a can't tell by looking at her.
Right. But everything.
Jewish wife.
But as a Jew, you've played a lot of Jews.
Well, I tend to play tough but fair, sexually
Right.
ambiguous district
Right.
attorneys, cops, federal. As females who are not classically what is considered attractive.
Right.
Contrary to Charlize Theron's statement that the pretty people don't get the meaty roles in Hollywood.
I really feel sorry for her.
Yeah, she's had it tough. Although I will say it's difficult in this sense when Charlize Theron, who is a very good actor and someone I admire.
beyond.
She's had some
And
great
she's
character
had
roles too.
great roles, very meaty roles. And she started, she as a younger person was a model, was impossibly good looking.
Right.
Her photos, I think, is what brought her attention and got her cast, I think, in 2 Days in the Valley, which right out of the gate she was very good.
Right.
And impossibly good looking. Having said that, it's not just her talent. There are plenty of very talented people. You and I both know them and have known them for years who will never see the light of day,
Right.
or get the due they deserve
Right.
career-wise. Because it's not a meritocracy. That's just
Right.
the nature of mainstream show business.
Right.
And I'm not complaining about that because it's an election. We choose to do it. Nobody
Right,
forces
right.
us to do it.
Absolutely.
So take all that off the table. I don't want anyone to think I'm complaining. But what I'm saying is we wouldn't know Charlize Theron's name. I'm 90% certain of that. It is her good looks that got her every single thing. And she played Aileen Wuornos. They would not have cast a person
That
who looks
was,
like Aileen
and she
Wuornos.
was incredible.
She was fantastic. But the thing is, that's how you get your Oscar. You have to be beautiful. Make yourself
Ugly.
unattractive.
Or you have to be
And then
straight.
get
No,
your
it's
make
not.
your
No,
Oscar.
you want to know what that is? Brave.
Yeah, that's
It is
brave.
considered brave to
Brave.
gain 20 pounds just
Right.
to be what we would consider normal
Right.
body type.
Or
Bingo.
when Tom Hanks was in Philadelphia. Brave.
Yeah.
And great guy too. There's no criticism there. And
But
he
it's-
himself wouldn't call it brave.
Right,
He-
exactly.
he
That's what we do. If you look ugly, you're brave. If you have a disease, you're brave.
Well-
brave. You know who's fucking brave? Single moms who have no money, who are
Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
Trans
People
actors
working
that
with
play
Syrian-
trans people.
Syrian
Ugly people that
refugees.
play ugly people.
Jews who are
They're
6'3" and loud and gay.
But you're very brave to be that tall. It's a brave
Thank you.
choice you've made. It is a
Chemda,
brave
you can get
choice.
on a mic. By the way, Chemda's here from Keith and the Girl. And you're
from
allowed to
episode
talk
4.
too.
Yes,
All right.
there's another chair. Or we
Wait,
can
so
share.
Janeane, I do extensive research because I there are things about you that I really kind of relate to and I'm fascinated by.
If you did research online, lots of them may not be true.
No, I read interviews.
Okay, but they tend to take their stuff. You know what I mean?
But I know you too.
Okay.
And she watches interviews and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know what the shit is.
All right.
Especially Wiki is fucking full
Wiki.
bullshit. So
Cute name for a puppy.
Dad, how can I boost my energy, lose my belly fat, and ease my stress?
well, I know you don't like to eat vegetables or juice.
I hate vegetables. I hate fruits. I hate blending.
Do you like shopping?
I hate shopping.
Do you like cleaning up?
No, that's the worst.
Right. So, let me tell you something. There's this new thing called Organifi. Okay. It's organic, it's vegan, it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, it's soy-free, it's free. It's free. It is free.
Can I get it here in this mall that we're hanging out in?
No, you can't get it here at the mall.
Oh,
okay.
well, where can I get it?
Well, you can get it online at www.organifi, ORGANIFI.com. And if you use the keyword GOLD, GOLD, that's my last name,
Nice.
you're going to get 20% off. So what it is it's like the best tasting greens on the market, and it has ashwagandha in it.
Hey, isn't that special ingredient that helps fight the fat storage hormone called cortisol?
Yes, and you know, I just found out from my doctor that my fat storage hormone is so large that I'm renting out storage space for other people.
Well, they're going to be really upset when you start drinking this Organifi
I know.
juice.
I'm going to have to take all their crap out of my fat storage hormone, but
And
I'll
put it
have
in the toilet.
Right, but I'll have increased energy and improved mental focus.
So let me get this straight. By the way, they don't say that anymore.
Oh, I know.
Organifi.com. Use code GOLD and I'll get 20% off of this energy boosting.
Yes. You'll have more energy.
And I don't have to eat fruits and vegetables anymore.
No, you don't have to do anything. You can have that crappy hot dog you just ate
Oh.
on St. Mark's Place, you idiot.
I think I'll go get another one then.
Okay, well, now that you have a very low fat storage hormone, why don't you have 5? So I know that you're from New Jersey.
Yes.
Because I'm also from New Jersey, and my sister loves you, and her name's Jane, so she's always like, Janeane. That's how I always spell your
That's
name
how my
right.
name is
yes,
spelled because
Janeane.
it's I was supposed to be Roberta, and then
What?
I know. Well, I was
You're
supposed to be
so
Robert.
not
I
a
was supposed to be
Roberta.
Robert.
Okay.
And they thought I was going to be a boy. Then I was a girl, Roberta. Then my mother's nurse, thankfully, name was Janeane. No offense to Roberta, but with a name like Garofalo, it's unwieldy.
Roberta Garofalo.
So Janeane actually, but she didn't know how to spell it, and she changed
You could
it.
play Joy if you were Roberta Garofalo.
What do you mean?
You know that Joy, the woman who sold the brooms, the movie?
Oh, right, Jennifer Lawrence?
Yes,
Who won
but-
the Hunger Games. She won the reaping, and that's what you get. You
No,
get to
I'm
work
just
with David O.
saying.
Russell when you win.
But that Roberta Garofalo would be a type who would be
Right.
selling brooms on,
Or
you know.
Bobby or Bertie.
Right.
Or QVC. I could
Right,
take
right,
with,
right,
Gene,
right.
with the late Gene Bice at Quacker Factory.
But yeah, so Janeane, don't look at my notes.
I'm not looking.
I saw you looking.
I am looking, but I can't read it.
Okay.
I can see Birdie,
So-
by the way.
Birdie.
And
no.
Bobby.
And Birdie from that documentary Mad Men by Werner
Yes.
Herzog.
Yes.
Mad Men, Werner
God,
Herzog
you're a fucking
documentary.
encyclopedia. I love it.
That's not true. It's not a documentary. It was a show. I was lying. It's not.
Mad
it's
Men
not.
is a show.
Mad Men. I was pretending it was a documentary. Like
okay.
Walking Dead is a documentary.
All right, got it. Okay. So what I find fascinating about you,
Yeah.
well, you are from New Jersey, but you lived in Texas, which I think,
Intermittently, yes.
yeah, and I think knowing you, the Texas
Didn't work.
time
Wasn't great. Wasn't great.
But I think it highly informed you about the world of pretty girls and of America. No, it seemed like it informed you a little bit of what the values are.
Well, I don't
unfortunately.
quite understand that because it's not like you can't get that message in life. That's just the nature of life. And again, it's not.
It's
I'm not living in
very-
a dream world. That since that is the way we're wired, we tend to respond better to people that we consider attractive. And it's even when little children, there's been experiments done that people treat them nicer when they're, that's just the nature of things.
Right.
You don't need to live in any specific place to see it happen
Right,
or
but I
feel it.
feel like at your age, how old were you when you were there?
Well, it was intermittent. My father worked for a company that was headquartered in both New Jersey and Houston. So
Yes.
the first time I was in Houston was 1973, briefly.
Okay.
Then back to New Jersey, and then back
Right,
to
but
Houston.
that is the time of your life where you are going through puberty or getting your period, and here you are. Texas is beauty.
The first time it
pageants?
wasn't like that. Little.
Okay.
It wasn't like that the first time when I was a kid, just in brownies and Girl
Right.
Scouts. That was not an issue.
Right.
It was just like anyone else. There was some popular girls, even in elementary school, who happened to be very cute.
Right.
And there were very cute little boys.
Right.
And they are little boys and girls.
Right.
And they tended to be treated
Right. Oh,
accordingly
beyond, yes.
with and actually they were nice enough kids and everything. They did not behave badly. You know,
Right.
you never know where the bullies are going to come from or anything, and that transcends gender. Then in New Jersey, luckily, the school system I was in New Jersey, in Madison, New Jersey, very luckily, it was before MTV. It was a very casual thing. There wasn't a huge disparity between social classes and
Yes.
economics. It was a fairly consistent town. And it wasn't about fashion. It was just one of those lucky breaks.
Yeah,
in the
that is a
70s.
lucky break. Because
It
when I
just
was
lucky.
in Clark, which was one side of town was Jew and Italian, a lot of mob, and the other side were Polish, German, people who had settled there. There was a KKK, and we had swastikas.
Swastikas. They're not stickers.
I
Judy.
just say
like a fun
swastikas.
sticker. Hey, have you seen the new swastickers?
So there was swastikas on our house. I remember once we were in
On your
synagogue. Yeah, when we first moved in '68. Yeah, they knocked our fence down. One time we were in synagogue and they were shooting. We thought it was a gun, but it was pellets. At the, the whatchamacallit window, the stained glass window. I mean. And there were no black people there. And I remember saying to my mother, who grew up in Manhattan, and my father, who grew up in Perth Amboy and worked in Trenton, they picked that place because it was in between. It was the halfway point because my mother wanted to go to New York all the time, and my father wanted to help his sisters who didn't. I got left nothing because of a joke. $4 million. I got zero because my aunt changed her will after she heard a joke.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the
That's
$4 million joke
because-
that wasn't even fucking funny.
It was the swearing. I'm assuming
No,
you
it
mean
wasn't.
a joke you told. A joke you told.
A joke because my father had died. My father did everything for them, and my father died, and we were at Shiva, and she always hated us, Aunt Sylvia. She loved boys, and she loved my cousin Audrey, and that was it. And she hated my mother. She was mean to my mother because my father was the third of 4 girls, and he took care of them. And he was a lawyer and an accountant. He was just a gentleman. Like they don't make him like that. And so she is married to Dave, who smokes a cigar, and I think he's involved with, and he's in the liquor business. Okay,
He's a bootlegger.
yeah, he's a little, but
Thank God prohibition still
so
isn't happening.
yeah, so he was. This is in the 80s, right?
Oh, when
So
there
my-
was prohibition.
yeah. So 1990, my father dies, and we always used to have to go to Aunt Sylvia's. Aunt Estelle, her sister, was so nice, but Aunt Sylvia, and she was favored by the parent. It was ridiculous. Anyway, so she's at Shiva, and she says her husband had died, and she says, "Oh, what do you think of this necklace?" And I said, "Oh, it's nice." She said, "Dave's old belt buckle," and I said, "Oh," and then I write this stupid joke. I had just started, and I said. And then she says to me, "Well, what do you think of these little round ball earrings?" And I was like, "I don't even want to know." Okay? That was the joke on Evening at the Improv. P.S. After my she calls my mother. What if they know? And she's living in Deal, New Jersey.
Right.
What if someone bumps into me and they know and blah,
Right.
blah? Find out 3 weeks. She dies 2 years later. 3 weeks after that, she had changed her will that my father had written for her.
Well, it sounds like she was looking for any excuse. If it's that easy,
$4 million.
I think she would have, no matter what you would have done, there would probably be a reason. Do you know what I mean? Like
But
if
it was like
if that
my
was the tipping
cousins,
point.
there were 7 of us that were next of kin, and the 4 boys got it.
She's
All
like,
right.
let me
Well,
ask
that
you
probably
enough
was
questions.
the plan all along.
Right.
If it can be that simply done.
Right.
Then clearly.
We were named next of kin, and then nothing.
Right.
Okay.
Which was probably the plan all along for her.
She's terrific.
So don't.
Thanks, Aunt Sylvia. Anyway, so your father is an Exxon executive.
He was. He's
And-
retired.
Yes, and your mother unfortunately passed away. And do you believe it was from the environment
No.
that she was working in?
No. I think it's just one of those things. She was a secretary most of my life, and then she just happened to get a secretarial job at Conoco when she. But it was just a secretary in an office.
Right.
There was no exposure to anything. Now she died young of cancer. She was a lean person, a healthy person. My father, who is hardcore, is going to be 80. It's one of those things.
It's genetics. I feel like you cannot.
But her parents lived very old. I don't know what it was, and that's why I actually don't ruminate about such stuff. I don't get physicals or go the extra mile because I don't look for trouble. I feel like it's either going to get you or it's not.
Right.
You know? It is on you. And she didn't know she was ill. She felt fine. And then the reason that she even went to get a physical, she actually had a similar idea like I do. And my dad is sort of like that. He's a very physically fit guy.
Right.
But he doesn't, he doesn't monitor. He used to smoke heavily. He still drinks heavily. He was, after his second or third stroke, he was supposed to quit drinking. To his mind, it's just beer and wine. I'm not joking about
Right.
that. And on the weekends, martinis. That is not a joke. But he denies the hangover. He denies, mind over matter. He's very stoic. And now, what if it's anything? And I don't know how I feel about this. When people say it's about stress or emotion, I don't know about that because I do think that cancer's going to get you or it's not going to get you. My mom did have a number of emotional, stressful things weigh on her. She was, my parents were teenagers when they had, but then again, that was 1958. But she grew up poor in the Bronx. Her mother was very hard on her, then lived with us. It was very hard.
Right.
My mom was terribly shy and always anxious, easily embarrassed and would never speak up for herself. If that has anything to do with it, but I don't know.
Well,
because my sister's the same way, and she is healthy and older than my mom.
My
the 50s.
Okay.
Well, my mom was very young when she died. What I'm saying is she was a teenager in the 50s.
Right.
Exactly.
Which was not unusual for people to get married as teenagers and have the baby and stuff. It still happens today.
And
That's
with
stressful,
so my mother and her, it's a very sad story about her brother was killed by a doorman. He was playing ball out in front of a building on West 89th, and the doorman came out and said, "You can't play here." And he had his jacket on a car, and the doorman grabbed his jacket and went in the lobby. So her brother followed him to get the jacket, and he was like playing keep away with the super's granddaughter or something, and he reached for the jacket, and the doorman pushed him, and he fell back and hit his head on the marble floor.
I thought that only happened on TV. When people, honest to God, like I didn't know in life people fell back. You always see it on TV, like it's the easiest thing in the world, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but
Yeah,
there
on
were
6 feet under.
I did.
Or anything.
I did a lot of research because it was in the New York Times and very prominent. Blah 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 blah. But her father, soon after that, died. I mean, her.
Oh, that's totally understand. I understand that, especially. But the thing is, the loss
stress.
of a child is the worst thing.
The worst
that anyone can experience.
Right. I can't even.
No
and now
doubt
that
about
I'm a parent, I cannot. I think about my grandmother, my son. When my older son Henry was 15, I thought, oh my God. And now Ben's going to be 15, and I think of that age, and I can't. But that's why there's
I
so
haven't
many.
had children because I'm very risk averse. I mean that sincerely. I'm not being glib. It is the most precious commodity you will ever have. The most in love you will ever be with anything. There's no coming back from it. Especially if you have other children, one must show up every day.
I don't think my mother ever got over it. I mean, I'm sure she didn't.
How can
never.
you? And that's
why
that's different though. I think that is the ultimate shock to the system.
Right.
My mom had not experienced
that. I'm just saying as the stress. And like as you said in the beginning, we were talking and you said, well, so if anything good happens, something bad is going to ruin it.
Some people think that, yeah.
And that is my mother. And that was because of, I mean, she was getting ready to go to college, didn't end up going away to college, went to college in New York. But, it's just amazing how that happens in that generation. And then
all these things are
from
handed
generation
down
to generation.
That's the nature of families. It's not just DNA handed down, it's emotion. It's the legacy of anything that has gone right or wrong for that family.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
They just figured out. I mean, they just proved that DNA has memory.
Right.
DNA
so do
memory
your
that's
muscles.
passed down.
Your muscles have memory because when I was running the marathon, and then if I would get injured and couldn't run, they said, okay, your muscle has memory. So if you need to run 20 miles, then you can do 10 in the morning and 10 in the evening, as long as it's within a 24-hour period. Your muscles will remember. It's really interesting. All right. Anyway, and I play piano, and it's like sometimes I'm just starting playing a song I hadn't played in
like riding a bike.
Right.
Hence the saying. Guy Fieri said that. It's like riding a bike.
And he's brilliant.
He coined that.
He coined that phrase.
So, all right. So your father's very conservative.
Yes.
Carmine.
Yes.
And you're absolutely not.
Right.
But you grew up in a conservative
Yes,
home.
and as I was too. I believed, and my mom actually wasn't, but she didn't assert herself.
Right.
And I grew up in a very conservative religious household, and I was definitely my father's daughter. I mean, there would be times when I felt this doesn't seem right, but I believe he's the smartest guy. He is a very smart. I love him.
So he's Scalia-ish.
No, he's a nice man. No,
All right.
Scalia's
sorry.
not a nice man.
Right, but brilliant like that.
My father's a very bright guy.
Right.
Who has irrational, you know what I mean? Like
He's
and
brainwashed
it comes from,
too.
And what the weird thing is, and this is me speculating here, he grew up poor in the Bronx, first generation. He was the first to get past the 8th grade. Now, again, that's not unusual for those times. He was born on his kitchen table like everybody else in his apartment building.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think his dad, who he had a close but difficult relationship with, was a real kind of 1930 like union and all this.
Right.
And I think my father, first of all, being named Janeane Garofalo and going to Columbia, back then there was a stigma, I guess, in his mind. And again, I'm speculating. And he didn't want to be like his parents, I guess. And I think he thought, I'm going to go the opposite direction.
Right.
And he had got his hands on this book, God and Man at Yale by Bill Buckley, William F. Buckley. And that became his Bible. I don't know why, but my father's a very kind man. Now, if he's confronted with hardship and confronted with things that are not in the abstract, he's the first to move toward action. His whole life now, he's retired, is volunteer work and things of that nature. And he is a kind man. But he is as close-minded and stubborn and so easily led by these Reagan-type tropes and nonsense like that because it's easier.
But,
it's just easier.
I find that...
And it's generational, too.
Yeah. But look, you look at, my father was from a very poor family, and his father ran a saloon and made him work. He had no... So he was... And then he went to World War II, and he put himself through college. But his work ethic was phenomenal. He was not, by any... I don't think socially he was at all... conservative. But I noticed that like with Marco Rubio, these people who are the first.
Yes. They cleave. They want a seat at the table that doesn't respect them, and then some of them pull the ladder up after them if they do have a helping hand. But also, there's tokenism in the Republican Party.
Right.
If you are quote unquote of color, and happen to be female sometimes,
right.
And they use you and put you forth. The Republican, that was a policy started under Lee Atwater.
Right.
So this kind of tokenism, because it is a very white nationalist, racist, misogynistic, homophobic party for the most part.
It's beyond.
But that's why they find the self-hating black man, the self-hating black woman, all women who are against reproductive justice, anybody, they're as much of a hindrance to their own lives as anyone.
Right, of course.
But there's money to be made, there's opportunity,
But that's
and
the
those
thing,
are political hacks that wouldn't make it on the other side.
Right.
And they're apolitical, I think, at best, a lot of them.
Oh, absolutely.
They're just opportunists.
But the ones who are
virulently, I think.
It is virulently. But it's like, I get in these, like, right before I'm going to get
But
my
that's
period.
a hard word to say.
I know, but right before I get my period, I can't pronounce
You become
things.
tongue-tied.
Yes.
That's true. You've
Did
mentioned
you have
that before.
Yes.
Before the blood
Virulently,
flows. Before the blood flows.
The words don't.
So,
nice
and I'm
one.
on a lot of
Thank
antidepressants, so that could
Of course,
do
and
it.
there's that.
Right. But those people who are so anti-LGBT. I mean, this Alabama governor, the Mississippi, thou doth protest too much.
Oh, wherever there's raps, there's smoothies.
Amen.
Right.
Wherever there's smoke, there's fire. Well, whoever protests the most
Right.
is either getting paid to do so or
Right.
is of it.
Like Rick Perry, who's whatchamacallit, cross-dresser. Now,
Well, like me,
That
too.
actually doesn't surprise me at all. And
Yeah.
also, that's not a criticism. You know, for anybody to be a cross-dresser gay,
Right,
that's
it's
not a
fine.
problem.
I'm not saying
to
it's
be
bad.
an attack person.
right.
That's the problem.
If you're that,
Caitlyn Jenner.
Right. And if you're
She
that,
just doesn't want to pay taxes.
Right.
That's why Caitlyn is
I
an
hate-
apolitical conservative, just sheerly for monetary
I know.
reasons.
You
Now-
selfish bitch.
Okay, we're moving
right.
on.
That transcends
I have to.
transgender.
I need to
No pun
discuss
intended.
something
I'm
with
sorry.
Janine that I've always wanted to discuss with
Uh-oh.
you. Okay.
I've been in love with you for.
Please stop. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh, you
know,
guys,
boss.
come on, it's time to heal.
Okay. So
Now's the time.
I'm ready.
here's the deal.
Yeah.
Do you remember your HBO special in 1995?
Are you talking about the half hour?
Yes.
Or the Young Comedians?
The half-hour HBO half hour.
I really don't remember that much about it. I remember what I wore because so many people disliked that my casual that I just would wear the same thing I'd wear
Right.
any day. I also recall that whenever I've seen little bits and pieces, it makes me sick to my stomach because of I was insecure and nervous. I covered with too much cool guy, which I hate.
Okay.
It's not authentic, and it bothers me.
Okay.
When
so
that comes
do
out.
you remember who you recorded that with? Because there were 2 comics a night that they would record.
Oh shoot! I would be so drunk by the time I went on. I really can't remember it. I mean, and I'm not proud of that, but I enjoyed a cocktail a great deal until 2000.
We'll give you 2
We're gonna
guesses.
give you 2
I'm going to say
guesses.
Judy Gold.
Yes.
I'm
Judy
so
Gold.
sorry, and please don't take that the wrong way.
Oh, it's fine. But your cool thing was like, so stay away from me.
It's so unfair. It makes me feel so sick
But
to my stomach.
It's okay. It's okay.
so
but
sorry.
I remember, this is the one thing I remember. I'm nerdy, and I'm so grateful for every, I was very bullied. And so, and my whole goal was, like, when I started doing stand-up, they're like, what do you want? I'm like, I want an HBO special.
Mm-hmm.
And I started in college, but I went out every night. That's all I did. And I was so kind of like, oh, Janine and the, the Uncabaret. And I was like, I wanted to be cool like you guys. And
There's nothing cool about me, but also I
But
started
no.
in '85, so
Right.
it wasn't like it was out of the blue. It's just that I got
Oh,
a lot
no,
of
no, no,
opportunities in the '90s that maybe I didn't deserve.
yeah,
but
no. But I
That's
remember.
fucking ridiculous.
Okay, but
I'm just gonna
wait,
say that right
wait.
now.
This is the profanity.
You're
Okay.
a
Yes,
goddamn legend. Amazing.
Oh, can
I'm
you
just
stop?
saying.
Oh my
All
God,
right,
you guys,
I'm
you're
ready.
tearing us apart.
Okay, so the whole Uncabaret thing in LA, like, I was like best friends with Judy Toll, and I used to. Oh my God, I have to tell Judy Toll. Her mother. I just went to visit her
I
mother.
know you sent me the picture,
and your picture was in. I go, why is Janine in the guy? I love Janine. I love her.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
And that headshot was taken by Pam Springsteen, little sister of
No
Bruce
way.
Springsteen. And actually, my eyebrows looked great in it because they were fake.
All right, do
Painted
you
on.
wanna know what I
That's all I remember
remember?
about that picture. My eyebrows looked the way I wish they looked.
The one thing
Well,
I
could look,
remember
could-
about that HBO special, there were 2 things. You had notes, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's fine. But if I had notes, they'd be like, why do you have notes?
Lots of people have notes. Richard
Right.
Lewis used to have notes on
I know,
stage,
but
too.
they were so on top of me. All right. The other thing is, they gave us this swag bag, and they gave us a watch, and it was a Swiss Army watch, and it said it had your initials. So mine said JHG, thanks from HBO on the
wow.
back. And I remember you gave your swag away.
I always do that because it makes me feel guilty. And
I was like,
and I don't
can't
do
believe
that
she didn't
glibly.
teach didn't take the watch. I was like,
Well, a lot of times
she
it just
is
makes
so
me feel
cool.
like I don't give me free stuff.
Right.
That I feel it's too much.
Right.
And also,
I thought that
there-
was cool of you.
Oh, thank you. But to you. To
But I'm a
what you
nerd,
said,
yeah.
that doesn't make you. It's nothing about being a nerd.
I still have the
No,
watch.
she's a
But
nerd.
no, I would. Had I known a watch was there, I
Right.
might have checked the bag before giving
Right.
it away. I like a nice watch.
Right.
But having said that, I always feel guilty about the success I had in the '90s. I'm quite sorry it's all gone. You know, what I mean, now I feel like I got opportunities that perhaps I didn't deserve in the '90s, because once you get in the rotation, people it's easier for them. Like, oh, let's get
Right.
her,
Right,
let's get
right,
her, let's
right.
get her, and then Now it's let's never get her. And so I feel like I got some opportunities perhaps I didn't deserve then. And now I feel I don't have the access to just try for certain opportunities that either I do or don't deserve. But the access it gets taken away from you. It gets given to you. And then if you're not very lucky and work very diligently,
right.
it gets taken away.
So do you feel like that during the 90s, when, I mean, you really were the face of Gen X. I mean...
Well, and when I wasn't Gen X, actually, I'm tail end baby boomer. I just happened in Reality Bites to play. I was 29 playing a 21-year-old.
Right.
But the thing is, what the double-edged sword of that, if that is true, I did get a lot of work in the 90s. And I was doing stand-up in the 90s. And unfortunately, people think they know who you are. And I unfortunately didn't recognize typecasting as it was happening and unfolding. Right. I was just taking jobs from the very beginning. One of my first jobs, the Larry Sanders Show, the great late great Gary Shandling, who's one of the best bosses to have ever. I was asked to play a type of character that is based on a real person,
right?
Who used to work at Letterman, who was, let's say, surly,
right?
Then from there, I was asked to do it again and again, and I didn't recognize that if you keep doing that, and if you're not a person who is considered, like I said, classically attractive, you are going to...
Right.
And then you are so associated with that, and people think they know who you are, then you're done. And now there are things where my agent tries like hell to say, give her a chance to audition for... No, we know what she does. We know what she does. And they think it's that one thing. And so it's a drag. Now, I'm quite thankful I had... the luck that I had, because it's 90% luck, as you know, in show business. You standing in the right place at the right time? Yes. There you go.
Right.
And then, and I'm sad about the luck that ran out, but, you know, it is what it is. And again, it's an elective profession. But what my larger point, which I meant to say, is I'm very sorry if I seem to be brusque with you. I have no end of sorrow over how ill-mannered I may have been, but this is not an excuse. I'm just saying I was a heavy drinker who was scared of everyone and everything.
Right, and to me...
And felt like a jerk who didn't deserve any of it. And
but I never, you know...
It didn't come out that way,
yeah.
unfortunately, from what I hear in feedback from people that I re-meet years later or read their books. Oh, and
but
I just finished...
I always thought you were great.
Oh,
like, that was the
you.
thing. And because of Judy, and, you know, I was like, I love her. And I admired you. And but I really, for me, it was like, oh, they're the cool
If I
group.
didn't, no, and also you know, Uncabaret and stuff. That's not mine. That's Beth Lapidus started that.
I know.
I was very happy to be invited, and unfortunately, sometimes people give me credit for that. That's not mine. That is Beth. Lapidus.
No. That was Beth and Judy. They just came out. And did you know they came out with an album of Judy's?
No, I didn't know that.
It's so great. I listened to it all the time.
I remember. So vividly, one of my and it wasn't a joke. It was just Judy being Judy about how she had just gotten a car accident to see if the frozen yogurt place was still open, and she was on her way to Uncabaret, and she really did get an fender bender because she was checking on La Cienega to see if this frozen yogurt place that she loved, because she was on a diet, was still open.
She was always on a diet.
And then she didn't wait around for anything you're supposed to do with a fender bender, and kept driving to Uncabaret to tell us. And she had a giant monster muffin that she felt she deserved, that she did stop to get, a blueberry muffin. But she was just being herself and just talking. And that, the charm, and she,
and just
Judy
the brutal
told,
honesty.
So great.
I lived with her,
great.
and one day she's like, "That's it. I want to end my life." And she's on the kitchen floor with a butter knife, and I go, Judy, first of all, you're not killing yourself, and you can't use a butter knife.
I guess you could, but it would be
so
difficult.
Then it was like I had to call Joanne, and and then we all had to,
What was she all going to end her life
I think
about?
she was upset about she was never going to get married. Then
who gives a shit?
I know,
That
and then
drives
she
me nuts.
went on.
Marriage doesn't look that
I know.
great to me. I can tell you something.
I know,
The divorce
it's
rate is
not.
insane.
But then I made her go on J-Date, and she met Rick, and they got married. And
Right.
Blah blah blah.
You know, but I don't understand that. A lot of people, and this transcends gender, really still feel that they are lesser than
if they don't
or
have
something
if
they don't have a partner or a child. And I don't. And you can be fulfilled. You can foster. You can mentor. If this is your thing, if
can
you're
teach.
serious, you can teach.
There's so much you can do.
volunteer. But it's
have
about. It's not
sex.
really about that. It's
Right.
about peer pressure and having, and they don't want to adopt. Not everybody, but they'll be like, it's got to be made of them.
Right.
You know what I
It's
mean?
so
Like,
narcissistic.
well, it is. It's narcissistic.
Because
It's so animal.
I understand why, but you can also be you'll be so in love with an adopted child. There won't be one moment of hesitation. You will love that child.
Well, Henry's adopted.
as much
Yeah.
as you would one that came out of your loins.
Right. So I have one of each.
And you do love the other one a little more, right? Which one?
That's
which one
what
do you
Joy
like?
Behar says.
No, I'm
She
kidding.
goes,
I'm totally
this is what she said to me. Come on, Judy. You know you love Ben more. If they would, this is what she says to me. I swear to God. If they were drowning, who would you save?
Whoever weighs less.
And I said, well, Henry can swim. So,
No, but it's in our
Joy Behar, everybody.
babies. Like if somebody were to, there's something that kicks in unless you're a sociopath about the elderly, animals,
please, yes.
and children and babies that
Right.
you just fall. You know, if
At
you
least
can help
one of
and
those
you,
things.
you soften a great deal. But children in danger. Almost anyone would go to the mat for a stranger's child. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like in the moment.
Yes.
It's just in there. So people fall in love with children, and,
yeah.
unless you're a Republican.
I want to
Or
spank
a
other
sociopath.
people's children.
I mean, they fall in love with their own kids, I assume, but it's other people's children.
Well, they
are
don't-
not.
and they
actually, they
also-
don't. The climate change deniers seem to not
Right,
care about their
about the
children or
children.
grandchildren either.
so one of my other things, one of the other things I love about you was when you quit SNL.
Which actually, the story, people will never believe that. People always say that I'm lying about
No,
that.
I
and
know-
I'm
I
not saying
remember
that
that.
with pride. I left. I mutual agreement. I left
Right.
early, as did Ben Stiller and
Right.
Catherine O'Hara and others. Others have done it. It's not the norm.
But you were
But
really
it
the
didn't-
first one to say,
No, Catherine O'Hara left after a day. Ben left after 5 weeks before. He was there before
right.
me.
But you were vocal about.
I wasn't vocal. People made me vocal about it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to discuss it as much as I was forced to.
I think in the community, we all knew that you just were like, I'm not
with
putting
friends-
up.
with
Yes,
friends I
with
would.
this misogynistic, and
actually, it's not even misogyny. It was just, you know what? Let me amend that. And if there was misogyny there, like there is in any system, but that wasn't
right,
even
right,
the
right.
problem. I can tolerate almost anything if writing is great.
Right.
Honestly, I can put up with. I'm not a difficult person. If you're a hack, I guess yes, I'm difficult.
Right.
I suppose that I'm difficult.
Only because you're a woman.
But yes, it is received differently. Ben didn't receive the grief that you
Right.
know what I'm saying. Now, also, some of it was my fault. I was a person who loved to go out at night and drink, and I was in New York, and I was a young person in
Right,
New York
right,
who had
right.
all the freedom in the world.
Right.
And believe me, I took advantage of that, and so that was in play.
Right.
But having said that, when I realized that the type of humor that was the humor of that
juvenile,
era,
right, yes.
because it's been on so long. There's ebbs and flows,
Right,
and
of
it
course.
changes.
Sure. Yes.
And there certainly was some funny stuff that happened then. But in that year, that season, just that one, in my opinion, it wasn't a good fit. Now, perhaps if I'd been there a different year, different time, different head writer, what have you, it may have worked. But it just didn't work out then. And there was far too many cast members. You don't need 16, 17 people.
Right.
They started with 8 in the old days. I think that's
That's a
all
nice
you need. That's and
number.
it's just
But
better
you-
for everybody.
in the old days, the skits were long. It was
Well, they
a
were-
They were
full-
longer.
Yes, they were longer.
and they were more memorized.
But it was also,
Right.
and they were also, skits, not people reading cue cards.
Well,
Exactly.
there's
They
a
were
reason
improv.
for that. You are urged to read the cue card,
Right,
which much
obviously.
to my chagrin, and also changes take place in the last second, and it's a real drag.
Right.
But there was certainly problems that anyone who was there back in the old days could tell you. I'm sure was there.
Absolutely.
And so everybody has the same ups and downs at the same
Okay.
time. But at this, there is also, having said that, I just want to say there's been some very talented people always, and still to this day, some really, really funny writers and performers on that show. So I don't want to downplay.
Oh no.
And the late Jan Hooks. Oh, we should give a shout out
yeah.
to how she goes very unheralded.
Yeah.
how great
and
she was.
She really was.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Continue. You look like you want
Jan
to get something.
Hooks.
The Jan Hooks, fantastic performer.
I'm going to end that Jan Hooks right there because that's about all she. Isn't she the right wing?
No, she was from SNL. Jan
No.
Hooks.
Yeah.
No, that's the Victoria Jackson.
Oh my God.
Jan Hooks is dead.
Jan Hooks was the fucking best.
I know.
Oh my God! I was thinking of Victoria.
No.
Oh, I love Jan Hooks.
With
I
Nora
remember
Dunn.
when she
Yes.
died. It wasn't that long ago.
I know. Yes, no,
She was
Victoria
fucking
Jackson
great.
is like a lot of people who are right wingers. I think where it comes from
Jan
is
Hooks.
disappointment, and things didn't go as she had planned with her marriage and living in Florida and with her career. So, like a lot of people, and also she doesn't seem like an intellectual, and I'm just saying that's not me being glib. I'm just saying that some of the things that has come out of her mouth indicates to me that she's not particularly thoughtful about
Right.
these things.
Well, thoughtful people
So-
ask questions.
Well, she just has found a cause, a thing that makes it fills her void of whatever's
Right.
going on with her. Because frequently, politics is about emotion and limbic, especially
Right.
extremist politics, right wing extremism, and the rightward shift of the Republican Party over the last 40 years. That's about emotion, limbic brain nonsense.
Right,
That's
right,
a prefrontal lobe and the executive decisions and function of that part of the brain that isn't quite functioning up to par, and it tends to be about
To be technical.
bad gut reactions
of
to
course.
things and exclusion and
not mindfulness
dominion
at all.
and contempt.
Yes.
Contempt, which is the destroyer of any relationship. And Dennis Miller is one of those guys that just used 9/11
Right.
to get out his unrestrained id.
Right.
He is a smart guy.
Yes.
So that's why
That's
I know
why it's more
That's why
dangerous.
I know he knows he's lying about
Right,
some
right,
of this
right,
stuff,
right.
and that's a real shame when that
Yeah.
happens. Or PJ O'Rourke.
Yes.
Or Mamet.
Yes.
Some of these people who go to the right and they pretend 9/11 has something to do with it. It doesn't.
Right.
But it's like mentioning the Holocaust. People
Right.
can't say anything after if you trot out 9/11
Right.
for something.
So your
Switching gears.
disillusionment with quote unquote showbiz. Do you?
I'm not disillusioned with showbiz.
No, I'm all right. That's the wrong word.
That concludes part 1 of Kill Me Now with Judy Gold with Janeane Garofalo as guest. Stay tuned for part 2. In the next episode, Janeane gets into the 90s and her disillusionment or not disillusionment with the entertainment industry. Thanks for listening.
And everything was wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thank you for the visit. So long.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.